Hello, kids, and welcome to the April edition of the storytelling sessions by the Jane Goodall Institute right here in Singapore. As always, I will be your host, and I'm Sapari Sid. Up here, we have Ida, who's going to be signing along to all the stories that you're going to hear today. Say hello, Ida. Hello. So, kids, thank you so much for joining us this month. And as always, we have a wonderful lineup of stories for you all. But before we get into it, I'd like to tell you a little bit about us. We are the volunteers of the Jane Goodall Institute here in Singapore. We all spend our time and volunteer our time to help people like yourself and your mummies and daddies and so many people around the world understand why it's so important that we should be looking after our wild spaces and the wildlife that lives there. Not just here in Singapore, but everywhere around the whole world. And we've all been inspired by our named founder, Dr. Jane Goodall. Now, some of you might be wondering what Dr. Jane Goodall did that is still inspiring us 60 years later to be all out here around the world working together to conserve our wonderful planet. Now, Dr. Jane Goodall, back in the 1960s, when she was only 20 years old, left her home in London, United Kingdom, and traveled all the way to the eastern part of Africa, to a country called Tanzania. And there she traveled around the country learning about the wonderful wildlife and the wild spaces out there, particularly to Gombe Stream National Park. Now, boys and girls, Gombe Stream National Park is a wonderful little pocket of forest along the longest lake in the world, Lake Tanganyika. And do you know what's so special about Gombe Stream National Park? It's home to some of the many chimpanzees. And the wonderful chimpanzees are so closely related to us that it's so important that we learn about them because they're still in the wild and the wild is getting so much smaller. Did you know, kids, that the chimpanzees of Gombe Stream National Park and chimpanzees all over the world are so closely related, not just genetically, but in their behaviors as well? They live in families like how we do. They play with their friends just like how we do. They use tools and they even use things like cutlery, like how we use knives and forks and chopsticks. They use little sticks to pick up ants and other insects that they eat. So it's so important that we all understand that these wonderful, wonderful creatures of the wild are so close to us and that we need to look after them because they're losing their homes. And the work that Dr. Jane Goodall did all the way back then and even till now has inspired us all to join this cause and save not just the chimpanzees of Gombe Stream National Park, but the wild animals all across the world, including right here in Singapore. So now, kids, as I mentioned, we have some wonderful stories for you today that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. Coming up first is an incredible original story by our very own, and you might recognize her if you've been paying attention, kids. She was one of the presenters with me so many times on the storytelling sessions. It's our very own Jasmine Rose, and she has an incredible story for you all called Natalia, about a Humboldt penguin that learns how to swim. So kids, get ready for an incredible story.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Jie Jie, and today I want to tell you a story about a baby penguin who is afraid of the water. Now, the penguins you see behind me are African penguins, so they're from Africa, whereas the penguin we're talking about today, Natalia, she is from South America. Now, this book is written by myself and illustrated by Jessica of John By. So John By does reusable and rewashable coloring silicone mats for kids. So go check it out on her website if you want to. And also this book can be purchased at www.jasminejie.com. Now let's begin. Natalia. So Natalia was scared. Her mommy was nowhere to be seen, and she was all alone on the beach. As Natalia waddled up the beach to look for her mommy, people took notice of her. Someone shouted, "Look, a baby penguin! Put her back into the water." Natalia did not understand. Someone picked her up and threw her into the water. But my mommy might be on the beach, she thought. So she came back out of the water and looked all around. Splash! Someone threw her back in again. Natalia did not know that the people were trying to help her. She tried to come back up, but was thrown into the water once more. A crowd had started to form, and Natalia had never seen people before, and there were so many of them. They were loud, they were excited, and they were flashing their cameras at her. Natalia started to cry. Look how scary it is. Having a camera flashed at you is not a fun thing to do, not a fun thing to experience, so we don't flash our cameras at animals, okay? Now, on the other side of town, Carlos received a phone call. Carlos worked at an animal rescue center that helped animals in need, much like Natalia. So he knew how to help animals who had been separated from their parents. When he found out that Natalia was in trouble, he got into his car to go pick her up. Natalia trembled in Carlos's arms. His soothing voice calmed her down a little. "We'll take her with us," he said to the crowd. He put her into his car and drove her back to the rescue center. Vroom, vroom. When Carlos tried to put Natalia into a little pool, Natalia remembered being thrown back into the ocean by the noisy crowd. She did not want that. She was scared, and she did not want to go into the water at all. She jumped out and quickly waddled away from the pool. Carlos did not mind. He was very patient with her. Carlos tried to lure her back into the pool with food, but Natalia was frightened and did not want to eat. Carlos offered her food every day. By the third day, Natalia was famished. She was starving. She gladly accepted the fish that was in Carlos's hand. It was delicious. She wanted more. Now, a few days later, Carlos put some fish into the pool filled with water. He wanted Natalia to try to swim. After all, baby penguins have to learn how to swim so that they can find food in the ocean. She dipped her little beak into the water to pick up the fish. It was not long after Natalia decided to jump into the pool herself. "This is not as scary as I thought it would be," Natalia thought. Carlos had a big smile on his face. "Yeah." One day, Natalia got a very special surprise. Another baby penguin, a Humboldt penguin just like her, had been rescued too. They named her Rosita, and Natalia liked her very much. With Rosita around, Natalia was not so afraid anymore. Rosita's friendship gave Natalia some courage. She was finally ready for the big pool. Carlos put a fish into the big pool, and it sank right to the very bottom. Natalia hesitated for a second, and then she dived right in. Splash! She was so proud of herself that she made splishy, splashy sounds in the surface of the water. Now, Carlos was very proud of her too. As the day went by, Natalia and Rosita became great friends and would often follow each other around. They were growing up quickly. So the day finally came when Carlos realized that it was time to release them back into the wild where they belonged. They drove to the pier together. Now that is a pier. Then they took a boat to an island that was close to the shore. There was a penguin rookery there. Now this is a penguin rookery. It's where they live. A penguin rookery is a place where penguins nest, mate, and raise their babies. Honestly, kids, babies. When the time came, both Natalia and Rosita were carried up to the side of the boat. Carlos counted to 3. 1, 2, 3. Rosita jumped off immediately, but Natalia stayed still. Her heart pounded. She was unsure. She wanted to say thank you to Carlos, but she did not know how to. So Carlos looked at her with a knowing glint in his eye. He knew. With a helping hand from Carlos, Natalia jumped off the side of the boat to join Rosita in the water. Together, they flapped their flippers as fast as they could. They would go and meet their brand new family on the island. The end. And right at the back, you have some information about the Humboldt penguin. So I really enjoyed writing and reading this story for you today, as I hope you enjoyed listening to it too. Do remember, this book can be purchased at www.jasminejie.com. If you don't know how to spell it, it's here, jasminejie.com. And you can purchase it for yourself, you can purchase it for your friends, or just get it for fun. Now, till next time, I am Jasmine Jie Jie, and I hope to see you soon.
Wow, wasn't that a wonderful story, kids? Didn't you love Jasmine Rose's story? Can you give her a round of applause? That was so lovely to hear about Natalia and how Natalia learns how to swim. And there's some really important messages in that story, isn't there, kids? Now, talking of which, I'm going to take you straight into our next story. And the next story is another original story by the students of School of the Arts. And the School of the Arts is right here in Singapore, kids. It might be a school that you end up going to one day, or you might already be there. And how wonderful it would be to have your stories right here with us. Now, kids, remember, if you do have any stories, if you do have any drawings or pictures or art that you'd like to share with us, you can always send it over to us. Just ask your mommy and daddy how they might be able to get in touch with us over social media or through our email address, and send it over. We'd love to feature some of your stories or comments on our next storytelling session. So coming up next is Hailey's Adventure by the students of SOTA.
Hi guys, I'm Jasmine and my name is Hugh, and we are from School of the Arts. The story that we are going to share with you today is called Hailey's Adventure, and it's made by SOTA in collaboration with JGIS. Once upon a time, there was a happy red-cheeked flying squirrel named Hailey.
Hey there, I'm Hailey, who lived in the city with a very loving family. Until one day, people came and started to disturb her peace. Feeling annoyed, she decided to find a new home, using this as an opportunity to travel the world that she dreamed of. This place is too noisy that my head is falling apart. I'm leaving to find a new home.
She first visited East Coast Park, where she tried to make it her new home, but unfortunately were occupied by koala birds. Hailey tried to make friends, but failed to do so as the koala birds always talk over her.
Hey there, my name is Hailey.
Did you hear? Cody just pooped on someone's head.
Why are they so noisy? Shouted the red-cheeked flying squirrel as she covered her ears tightly and glided away. She then ended up near the HDB, but was scared by the stray cats with their sharp claws and fangs.
What a strange creature.
I'm not strange, I'm a red-cheeked flying squirrel.
I've never heard of that before. Are you a new type of bird?
No, I'm not. It's fine. I'll just leave. See you though. Frightened by them, Hailey rushed off without even trying to make friends with them.
Finally, after searching for a long time, she ended up in Bukit Timah Nature Reserve. As she explored, she found this amazing tree that was surrounded by pretty flowers and a bunch of nuts and fruits to munch on.
She thought that this would be a perfect spot for her new home. Suddenly, a banana peel splattered onto her head. Splat! Huh? What was that? She looked up to see the monkeys approach her.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. We dropped that banana accidentally. Let me get that for you.
Monkeys tried picking the banana peel and its remains off her head, but it was so messy.
Hey, what was that for?
Sorry, we didn't mean to.
What's your name?
Ooh, are those fleas I see?
Hey, are you?
Let me help you.
What's your name?
My name is Hailey, and no thanks. This is too much. Stop asking me so many questions. I just want some peace and quiet in my new home.
New home? What do you mean? I'm sorry, but you have to find another place to stay. We have too many of us living here. And with that, she flew away from the tree.
Feeling sad and wanting to give up in her search, she comes upon a few of the animals talking about something important.
I heard the horrible humans are chopping down our trees. What are we going to do?
If we do not stop them, we will be left with no homes.
Wanting to save the forest and the animals, Hailey came up with a plan to scare away the humans, but she couldn't do it alone. She wanted the forest animals to help. Hailey first tried to ask the birds for help.
Would you help me stop the humans?
They replied,
Oh, we can return for this favor.
What if I gave you some pretty flowers to decorate your nest?
the birds agreed.
Next, she tried asking the wild boars of the forest, and same as the birds, they also wanted something in return.
What if I gave you some delicious berries to eat?
The wild boars, willing to do anything for free food, agreed. Lastly, Hailey had to convince the monkeys. She tried to warn them.
Please help us, dear monkeys. All our homes are in danger.
At first, the monkeys thought it was just a joke.
Haha, silly Hailey. The humans haven't disturbed the forest in years. Surely what you're saying untrue.
However, soon after, they heard a loud boom. It was one of their trees being chopped down by the humans.
Come on, this is not a joke. Surely you believe me now, right? Now can you please help me?
Seeing how bad the problem was, the monkeys decided to help Hailey scare the humans away.
We will not let those humans take our homes. Let's do this together!
And thus, together with the help of the monkeys and the other animals in the forest, they shooed away the humans. The monkeys threw spoiled bananas, the birds flew straight at the humans, and the wild boars charged towards them, chasing after them at the speed of light. Hurt and scared, the humans ran away, never to return to the forest again.
Hailey saved our home!
3 cheers to Hailey! Shouted all the animals and even the monkeys.
Thanks to you, you saved our homes. We can never thank you enough. You can be part of our family now.
Said the monkeys.
In the end, the animals found a way to live together in harmony, and Hailey finally found her new forever home.
Wow, wasn't that a great story from the students of SOTA? Boys and girls, can we please give the students of SOTA a great round of applause? Yay! Didn't we love Hailey's adventure? That was so exciting, wasn't it? Right, kids. Now you're going to like this one. We have a lovely, lovely animation. It's a great cartoon that you're going to see. You might remember these. Our dear friends at Lasalle College of the Arts have been doing some wonderful cartoons for us. I'm sure you've seen so many about the long-tailed macaques, the Raffles-banded langurs, the Sunda slow loris, and many, many others. Now, today, we have a story called The Angler's Angle, Beyond the Angler's Angle. And I hope you enjoy this wonderful animation by the students of Lasalle College of the Arts here in Singapore.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Lasalle Animation. In collaboration with Jane Goodall Institute of Singapore, we created an animated short called Beyond the Angler's Angle. The story follows the water spirit as they explore the consequences of illegal fishing and how to resolve the issue. Through collaboration with JGIS, we learned that there is an important relationship between humans and fishing, that it is part of a culture and it is important to achieve harmony between that and the environment. That is why we made this video, in order to reach that understanding and hopefully be able to promote proper etiquette for fishing. We hope that this video can help spread awareness of this uncommon issue, and hopefully the general public will be more well educated about this problem. Thank you.
This used to be a clean and beautiful home. It's been getting more and more polluted, day by day. We need to talk. There is a reason why certain things are illegal. Throwing nets and hooks into the river to catch fish can injure a lot of unsuspecting animals and harm the habitat. They can also become litter that can suffocate animals trapped in them. Fishing with live bait will contribute to the growth of algae in the river, dirtying the water and taking up the oxygen from the animals living there. Many of my cousins, family and friends were harmed because of these activities. Many species seek refuge in our rivers, and we are helpless to help them. It's clean for now, but it does not last forever. I cannot do this alone. I need your help. That was a great story, wasn't it, kids? Did you enjoy the animation and the lovely cartoons? Aren't we delighted with the students of Lasalle College of the Arts for giving us such a wonderful cartoon? And I hope you learned something from it too. Now, we are delighted to partner with so many great institutions out here. Lasalle College of the Arts, the students of SOTA, and many, many other institutions. But now remember, kids, it's not just the institutions. All of you can contribute. If you'd like to come on board and write a story for us, or draw a picture, or make something that we'd like to share, we would love to hear from all of you. And we hear from students and kids all over the world. And we'd love to have you on as a volunteer. Maybe you can do some storytelling, like Jasmine Rose, who you saw before. Or you can come and help us setting up, and you can have your parents join us as well. Wouldn't that be a fun activity for all of you to come along and volunteer with us at the Jane Goodall Institute in Singapore? Now, kids, it's time for our very last story of the evening, and it's a special one. Because remember at the beginning of this time's storytelling session, I told you about Dr. Jane Goodall, which is why we're called the Jane Goodall Institute. Well, she has a very special story for all of us today, and it's called Pangolina, and I'm sure you're going to learn lots from it. So do enjoy this wonderful story time session by Dr. Jane Goodall called Pangolina. Thank you.
Hello, this is Jane Goodall, and I'm going to read you a book I wrote called Pangolina, with pictures by Daishu Ma. This is the book. Maybe you don't know what a pangolin is, but you'll find out. So let's start reading the book. Pangolina, pictures by Daishu Ma. I'm a pangolin, and I was born in a big forest in a warm and cozy burrow. My mother named me Pangolina. Every night she went out to get food, always returning, so I could drink her rich, warm, delicious milk. On one special day, my mother took me with her when she went out. I clung to her tail as she walked slowly through the forest. When she came to a mound of earth, she got very excited. "Look, Pangolina, it's a termite nest," she said. Then suddenly, out of her mouth, shot a long, thin thing that looked like a giant worm. It pushed its way into a hole in the nest, and when she pulled it back out, I realized it was her tongue. And many termites were stuck to it, waving their legs. She pulled in her tongue and swallowed the termites. Wow. So that must be what makes her milk so delicious, I thought. I watched as she enjoyed a wonderful meal, shooting her tongue out again and again and catching many termites. It must be very sticky, I thought to myself. So I went close to find out, and I found it really was very sticky, and for a moment my little nose stuck to it, and I thought she might swallow me, thinking I was just another termite. But of course, I was too big. Those were wonderful days. I was happy to meet other animals in the forest. There was Civet, so beautiful with the dark circles around her eyes and a handsome spotted body. I was a bit scared when Wild Pig and her piglets came by, grunting and rootling in the leaves, but they were only looking for fallen fruits. Once I was startled when a large creature, a bit like a fox with wings, flew low over us. My mother told me not to worry, because it was only a fruit bat. Almost every night, Bat flew past us with his pals, and we became good friends. One day we saw a very strange animal. It walked upright on two legs, and it didn't have scales or fur or feathers. I was frightened. "It's okay," said wise Civet. "It's a girl, the young child of a dangerous creature called human." The girl squatted down to look at us. She seemed excited, and her eyes were kind. I wasn't frightened anymore. Then a loud voice called out. It sounded like, "Aye!" And the girl jumped up and started to run towards the voice. She called out, "Coming, Mom!" I grew quickly. My scales got harder. I learned how to open a termite mound with my claws that had become strong and hard. And one day my mother told me that I was grown up now and I should go off and find a mate, and that eventually I would have a little baby of my own. That was how it worked, she said. She would be sad to see me go, but she had to find another mate herself. That was the way of us pangolins, the way we had lived for thousands of years. I was lonely, but I still had Civet and the pigs and a lot of other animals who were my friends. And sometimes I saw the girl, who I learned was called I. She was walking in the forest. Gradually, I got used to being away from my mother, and life was good, until one terrible day that I shall never, never forget. I was sound asleep when I was awakened by a fierce barking, "Rah, rah, rah," and the paws of a strange animal digging at the entrance of the burrow. Voices I didn't recognize shouted something, and all at once I was pulled out into the daylight with a strong stick. A man standing so tall on 2 legs pushed me into a cloth bag. I lay there terrified and trembling as I was carried through the forest. 2 of my friends, Civet and Bat, had also been caught. "This is human," said Civet, who was older and wiser than me. "He doesn't mean to be cruel. He thinks we are just things, that we have no feelings, that we don't know fear or pain. He just needs to make money so he can feed his children." The man took us to a place where there were many cages full of animals from the forest. Mostly they lay still and silent, but some were crying. I was so terrified when I was pushed into a tiny, bare and cold cage. "They're going to kill us and eat us," said Civet, who was in a cage near mine. "And they will pull off your scales because they think they make good human medicine." I cried all night, and I could hear the other animals crying too. And the next day there were screams of pain, and there was blood, and the smell of fear was all around me. In my heart, I cried out for my mother. In the evening I was pulled out of my cage. "This is a good bargain," said the man who had caught me. "Yes," said another voice, "I will buy it." I was too frightened to move or even cry. I just curled up into a tight little ball, as my mother taught me to do when danger was nearby. Now I would never have my own little baby to love. I was picked up and placed in a sack. But then I heard a voice I knew, the voice of the girl, "No, no," she was shouting. "Please don't kill her. I learned all about pangolins at school. They're endangered. Look at her. Look how frightened she is, Mom." And she began to cry. "Suppose it was me being sold for someone to eat, someone who would pull off all my fingernails to use for no good medicine. Please help me save the little pangolin." Quite suddenly, I was dropped to the ground. I closed my eyes and curled up as tightly as I could. Over there," someone shouted. "I'm a police officer," I heard another voice say. "It is against the law to hunt and sell pangolins." The noises faded, and I heard small footsteps coming towards me. "You're safe now," whispered I. I opened my eyes and saw her looking at me, surrounded by many kind faces. She looked at the police officer, who smiled at us. "You must take the pangolin to a sanctuary," she told I's mother. I picked me up gently and said, "Let's take you to your new home." Well, that was a long time ago. I and her mother took me to a sanctuary where I was safe. And I learned that once humans understand that we animals can know happiness and sadness, fear and despair, and that we feel pain, then they become kind and care for us and protect us. I will finish my story by saying that eventually I came upon a male. He was so strong and handsome, and we fell in love. And so I got my baby after all, a little boy who grew up and learned to feed on termites and make friends with the animals in the sanctuary. People came to learn about us so they could tell more and more children about the animals of China and how we have feelings just like them. What a happy way to end my story. And so I hope you enjoyed learning about Pangolina and the other animals in the forest and how they're so like us. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Wasn't it so inspiring to hear Dr. Jane Goodall I mean, she has been working on these kind of projects for years. It's actually a very strong belief of her that for us to all understand conservation, for us to learn in life, it's all about storytelling. If we can tell a story and the person you tell a story to can tell the story to someone else, imagine how much we're learning, not just about this wonderful planet and the amazing wild spaces and the incredible wildlife that live there, but about anything. It's such a powerful and effective tool for us to be able to learn and teach each other. And that's why us, the volunteers of the Jane Goodall Institute, spend our time telling you stories every month. But you know, kids, it's not just the storytelling that we do. You can join us on a walk where we walk through some of the wonderful wild spaces of Singapore, like Bukit Timah or MacRitchie, and we can do a monkey walk where we'll try and find the amazing monkeys in the trees. High up in the trees, we can see the Raffles banded langur, and a little bit lower down in the undergrowth or sometimes on the forest floor, we'll see the long-tailed macaques. And if you're lucky, we might even spot a colugo or a Sunda slow loris, or some of the many other wonderful things that live here. Now you can bring your mummies and daddies along on these great monkey walks. We also do monkey talks. So if you want to learn more about these incredible animals that we have here in Singapore, you can join us for one of our monkey talk sessions. We do monkey guarding, we do corporate events, we do parties, and soon, very soon, I hope, we'll be doing live storytelling sessions, not just on Facebook, maybe somewhere where you can all come and sit around us and join and have so much fun. So we hope you'll be able to join for all of that. Now, mummies and daddies, as you all know, we are a charitable organization. It is all run and managed by all of us, volunteers from all different walks of life, and some of us in very different places in the world. But it's something we're very passionate about. And if it's something that you're passionate about, we ask you to please, please join us on any of these occasions. Be a volunteer. You can work behind the scenes like the many people we have here, like Tanya, Connell, myself, Ida doing the wonderful signing, or be a storytelling sessionist like Jasmine or many, many others. We're always looking for wonderful volunteers. And of course, as a charity, we are very much open to donations. It's what helps us pay for all this wonderful equipment to be able to tell stories. So please do log on to our website. You can contact us via email, get in touch with any of us on how you might be able to donate to keep the cause alive. And we greatly, greatly appreciate anything that you can contribute towards us, the Jane Goodall Institute here in Singapore, to keep us going. Now, kids, I really, really hope that you've enjoyed this time's session, and I hope that you'll join us for next month's session. April is over, but May is very soon, rapidly approaching, and we hope that we'll see you there. And of course, by all means, send us anything you'd like to share with us for the next time's session. So from me, Safari Sid, and from Ida, and from everyone else here at the Jane Goodall Institute, have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you soon.